Week 35, day 3. We're going to talk about John Wooden. Now, we're developing the quality. You're developing the quality. You're going to be a role model for being conscientious. When you turn that paper in English, your teacher's going to say, oh, what a good model of conscientious. You are so good. This is such a great paper, so legible and easy to read. When you turn something in, it's going to be done exactly right. John Wooden was one of the greatest coaches that ever lived. He's the only person that's in the Basketball Hall of Fame, both as a player and as a coach. He won 10 NCAA national championships, 10. He won 7 in a row, 7 national championships in a row. That'll never be done. Again, that won't even become close. People now, to do it twice is a huge thing. He did it 7 times in a row. Coach Wooden was probably the most conscientious coach that I've ever personally read or talked about, in that he took care of the little things. And if he took care of the little things, he knew they would take care of the big things, would take care of themselves. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. John Wooden started every basketball season. Every year, the first practice they had, he demonstrated how they were to put their socks on. I can hear you laughing. I can see the incredulous looks on your faces. Put your socks on. Everybody knows how to put socks on. He would take the socks, carefully roll each sock down over the toes. Okay, you got a pair of socks, think about this. Now you pull that sock over the ball of the foot arch and around the heel, then pull the sock up snug so that there will be no wrinkles of any kind. Now you carefully check with your fingers for any folds or creases in the sock, starting at the toes and sliding the hand along the side of and under the foot, smoothing the sock out as your fingers passed over it. Pay special attention to the heel because that's where wrinkles are most likely. Do conscientiously, not casually. You have no folds, wrinkles, or creases of any kind in the sock. I heard John Wooden speak in New Mexico, and he explained to us how to put a pair of socks on. And he did that right there. He took it and you rolled it all up, put it right over the toes, and then pulled it up, and then made sure there wasn't any wrinkles in there. And while you were doing that, or while I was doing that, I was thinking to myself, a little bit silly now. And then he said, you can only get a blister on your feet in basketball, with basketball shoes, if you have a wrinkle or a crease or a fold in your socks. Well, how many days, hours, times in practice have people missed practice in basketball because of blisters? Or how many guys have not gone 100% because they've had blisters on their feet? I can't even imagine. John Wooden never had blisters because they came in and he sat there with them and watched them, or had his coaches watch them, put their socks on. Oh, that's really silly. Yeah, that's silly. How silly is a blister? I doubt that there's anybody out there that hadn't had a blister on their foot. And if you have, you know how annoying it is. And it causes you not to go full speed. I can remember when I was a young football player, I always wanted new shoes. And as a coach, I started watching, and the seniors would always come in and you'd say, well, we got some new shoes. And they'd say, oh, I don't want no new shoes. They didn't want new shoes because new shoes caused blisters. What they didn't realize, it didn't have anything to do with the shoe. It's the sock. The sock is what causes the blister. And if you do like Coach Wooden did, you spend the time learning how to put socks on, you don't have the blisters. Look at the questions. How important are blisters? Question number 2, what does this tell you about Coach Wooden? Think about it now. He's going to make sure their socks are perfect. What do you think about his zone defense? What do you think about his inbounds pass? What do you think about his inbound play? What do you think about his free throw shooting? How conscientious is he going to be? Well, let me ask you this. How conscientious are you going to be if you play for him? When you get up there, step up there to shoot a free throw, is your form going to be exactly right? How many times do you think he worked on that form? On that zone press, on that inbounds pass? See, conscientious, it's like I talked about in football, it's knowing what your 2-point play is and working on it so diligently. And you say, we may not even go for 2 points. Well, I'm going to tell you something. If you are going to go for 2 points, it's important. And if you're going to go for it and you guys have practiced it and worked on it for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, bingo, you're going to know it. I saw Boise State upset Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl, and they had to go for 2 to beat them. And they ran a fake reverse pass and all this stuff. And after the game was over, they interviewed one of the players, and he said, we've run that thing 1,000 times in practice. We knew what we were going to do. You think that coach was conscientious? That's what conscientious is, paying attention to the little details. They asked Lyndon Johnson once, how long would it take you to write a 2-hour speech? He said, I can give it to you right now. I can write it right now, hand it to you. He said, really? Yeah. How long would it take you to write a 15-minute speech? He said, about a month. Because you got to make sure that everything that you want said is said, but you can't go over 15 minutes. That's exactly like devising a game plan. If you're conscientious, you're going to make sure that you got every piece of it done. So that means on Sunday when you're sitting there, and you may not say we're going to run 26 and 27 power. Because that would mean that both sides of your line is exactly the same and both sides of their line is exactly the same. One side's better than the other. 26 powers or 27 powers, one of them's better than the other. That's conscientious. That's paying attention to detail. That's what it gets down to. Be a role model for being conscientious. See you tomorrow.